This is Almost 107, a Fanshawe College journalism student podcast. Get real.
There is so much filling.
The inside is so crunchy and so good, and the chocolate isn't too sweet.
Oh my god. I was not expecting that crunch level. I don't really know what the inside filling is. I think it's what they make baklava with, but it's so crunchy and good, and then the pistachio cream just holds it together.
Dubai chocolate. You might have heard of it. The pistachio sensation is getting another shot in the limelight. This time with a pastry twist. The cookie craze started in Korea, but by now it's spread across the globe, from the UK to the States to here in Canada.
These Dubai-style desserts are nothing new. The original trend launched about 3 years ago. It all started when a simple food review hit TikTok users' feeds. In the video, Maria Vehera bites into Kanafa-inspired treat, a bar from Fixed Dessert Chocolatier in Dubai. Nowadays, you can go to any sweets place, and it's likely you'll find some variation on the trend. Let's find out how this pistachio treat got so big. My colleague, Emily Kim, spoke with Karen Cardona. She's the CEO of True Leaves Consulting. Her work helps local businesses develop food and beverages.
What key elements are required for a trend-driven product to succeed in the market?
Consumer acceptance is the major thing. How is it going to land with people? You might have a really good idea and you might be following new flavor profiles that are coming from different places, but how do you execute that at the recipe level? It is difficult to develop a product and to make something that a lot of people are going to like. And sometimes people rush through that process, and what happens is they're not taking the time to make something that's actually something that people want. And so, and it's part of what we do in our business, is we really focus on the recipe and refining it to make it something that people are going to want to buy again and again and again. So I think it's really about taking the time with the development of the recipe, and if you're trying to do something new, to take that very seriously and to give yourself enough time to do it in a well-thought way so that when you're going to sell it in stores, people are accepting it because it tastes good. And you know, we would have taken a lot of parameters into account for that to make it at large quantities, but flavor is the most important thing in this industry. It has to taste good or else people are not going to buy it.
So, have you learned any important lesson from products that didn't perform as expected?
Lots of lessons. Lots of lessons from launching products. A lot of it comes from, we think we understand consumers, and sometimes we're really off the mark. I think people, entrepreneurs in particular, the smaller to medium-sized companies, need to take the time to talk to the consumers, especially if you're starting off and you're selling, for example, at a farmer's market. It's a very good opportunity to talk to people buying your product and to see firsthand, what do you like about the product, what do you not like, and then you can make adjustments. But when you make assumptions about what people want on their product, you know, different target markets care about different things. Some people are more concerned about pricing, some people are concerned about the health benefits, some really want clean label items and they don't want to see large ingredients with weird words that they can't explain. And so as an entrepreneur, you need to really understand who you're selling to and what they want. Not necessarily what you want as a business owner, but what they want, so that you're selling a product that's going to be successful once it gets to market.
So, what are some of the fastest growing food and beverage trends in Canada right now? Could you highlight 2 or 3 examples?
Yeah, so some of the ones, like definitely overseas flavors is a big one. So we were doing green tea everything for a while, then it became like the matcha ceremonial tea. The next step from that is going to be like the hojicha tea, which is a toasted version of green tea, and it's not as vibrant green, but the flavor is quite different, and it's a traditional Japanese type tea, and so we're going to start seeing that be implemented because that's kind of the next generation and the next step forward. But people are familiar enough, they'll want to try it. It's not so exotic, but it's still in the same family. So things that kind of progress in that way is usually easier for consumers to want to try. Also, we have things like hot honey trends and trying different sweet and savory, and people love this flavor combination now. So I think we'll be seeing a lot more product development with that balance of sweet and salty, and not just one or the other, overly acidic or too spicy. It's really like a holistic combination of different flavor profiles. So these are the two main things that I see, but besides that, it's 100% health trends. So we're still gonna see things like ginger and turmeric, anti-inflammatory ingredients, probiotics, prebiotics, fibers, because people do want to incorporate their health trends into their snacking food. And so they want benefit, not just fun in their food. They want to feel like they're doing something for their health as well.
Which areas of the Canadian food and beverage market do you expect to grow the most in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think we're going to continue to see functional products. So this is, again, products with a health benefit. We saw brands like Poppy come out of nowhere, which is soda with a prebiotic fiber effect. And brands like this that are more focused towards health, as we have an aging population, people are going to be looking for that added benefit from their food, whether it's extra vitamins or minerals. We're seeing a lot of products with electrolytes in it. So something is coming from that food besides that normal nourishment. And a lot of times the US will be the first to kind of pick up on a trend, and then Canadians are very close to follow. I would say a lot of those things are coming from things like TikTok now and Instagram. Things move around so virally, so quickly now, that what used to take a little bit longer to get to us is now happening at the same time. So we are able to pick up on trends globally just from the ability to see things online, and that's really changed the landscape for innovation, and people move a little bit faster now just because trends are changing so quickly now, and it's hard to stay on top of. So I think that's been a really big cultural difference in innovation in the last 5 years especially, is just how quickly trends arrive to Canada now versus before, where it was more a slow effort to bring it into the country.
How the immigrant community shape food and beverage trends in Canada?
They absolutely drive the trends in Canada. We have a space where it is truly Canadian, things like even indigenous things. So actually, it's really cool. We're seeing a resurgence of indigenous food and practices being brought into the mainstream. There's that aspect. But then we also have such an influence from all the different cultures converging here. And so a lot of the flavors that we're choosing, like boba flavors, or things that we wouldn't have thought of before, but it's integrated into our community. We're now seeing in packaged goods as well, and all of these, what could have been very different for people before, just standardized into our normal products. So a lot of sriracha sauce and things like that 20 years ago weren't so common. We're now implementing those flavors into our normal foods, and it's very much shaping the expectation for new flavors and innovation as we create new products for retail. So one of the biggest challenges with overseas trends is just getting that raw material here. So sometimes we don't have it as readily available. So things like taro, for example, that has become a much more popular flavor. It wasn't 20 years ago. Now we're seeing it across different products. It might be more difficult to source these types of things when we don't see it so steadily in the market. So people have to create their own supply chain sometimes to bring these ingredients into the country, and especially in the format that they might need for their food products. So sometimes it has to be dry, and sometimes it needs to be ground, and sometimes it has to be fresh. And so we're seeing the supply chain change quite a bit. So what suppliers and distributors are offering is much wider range than before, because they have to accommodate for all of these different trends and changes happening in the market.
Many businesses hold onto trends, but what makes or breaks them? Dermo spoke with a Woodstock professor to find out. Garrett Gaudet is a program coordinator. He runs businesses and entrepreneurship management at Fanshawe College.
Business and politics kind of goes hand in hand, whether we like it or not, and international relationships with different countries do kind of shape how consumers react, behave, and over 2025 we saw a big Buy Canadian movement, and I don't see that really letting up, as it's kind of ignited this patriotic duty or movement where a lot of Canadians feel really passionate about supporting Canadian businesses, Canadian producers, Canadian brands, and they see it as something that they can do as supporting our own economy, our own Canadian economy, but also as almost a political gesture too. So I think we're seeing a big, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a trend anymore. Now it's lasted beyond a year. So it's more of a sustained new customer behavior and consumer behavior that will, I think, continue throughout the next decade for sure, with a lot of investment in Canadian businesses. And there's just a new appreciation for small business, Canadian business. And I think you see that across Canada, especially Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of real world hands-on things. We do like a Dragon's Den kind of thing, competition in the level 3 of a program. And a lot of students find that really valuable because we have a lot of our faculty watch these pitch presentations and ask really insightful questions of challenging kind of the business model itself of what we think, professionally speaking, because we're no longer instructors at that point, because we're not really, or the ones on the panel aren't really grading the students. We can speak openly and professionally of what would you do about this supply chain, or why did you consider doing online versus in-store? So we can really challenge students in a way where we can unlock that new thinking or unlock that thinking, so they're not just approaching a business without being challenged, in a way where it's constructively positive, where they can have that learning experience while in the program and not figuring it out in the real world where they might get a rude awakening.
Yes, like you pointed out, like being in school is the perfect time to kind of push your boundaries and experiment a little bit. And that sounds like incredibly valuable experience to get, that whole like Dragon's Den kind of style competition, because like, no, that is what you're going to be doing in the real world. If you have like a business idea, you're probably going to go up to like maybe somebody you know and be like, hey, I have this idea, but you're going to need to convince people.
100%. That's a big part of that. And I think that's a great point of, you're going to inadvertently or unintentionally or intentionally pitch your business on a daily basis of, hey, what are you up to? Well, I have this new business and I'm doing this. Even when I was at the pharmacy today, I was talking to my pharmacist and we got talking about business, and he was really interested about what I had going on with some of the new projects I'm working on. So you never know how to expand your network and who will be someone that will refer you customers or clients depending on your industry, but there's always an opportunity to kind of let someone know what you're up to. It is a really practical, kind of pragmatic program, the Business Entrepreneurship and Management program, where we want to provide students with the tools and the knowledge of everything that they'll have at their fingertips when they leave the program. So whether it's AI or whether it's utilizing different technologies like a CRM or whatever the case is, we try to make sure that students have some experience or at least are aware of it, so they can use it if they want to, if that fits kind of their business model.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, you mentioned CRM. Could you explain what that is?
Yeah, sorry. A CRM is a customer relationship manager or management software. So it's basically where you can log your name, birth date, what you're buying, what you're shopping, loyalty programs like that. So you can collect a lot of data to make better data-informed decisions for your business, of actually understanding what customers want, because sometimes businesses don't have that insight, so they don't really make decisions with the customer in mind. And we see a lot of demise from a lot of iconic brands like a Hudson's Bay, where they really didn't do that well.
Yeah. It seems like kind of the trickiest thing is figuring out, what do consumers actually want? Seems like there's a lot of it's very scientific. There's a lot of guesswork involved there. And speaking of that, I mean, how are you seeing consumers react in the industry to kind of some of the changes of AI entering more into the scene? Or even social media too.
Yeah, it's difficult to kind of see what consumers are reacting, because it's been maybe 4 or 5 years with AI kind of all over TV and embedded in everything that we use on a daily basis, especially with social media. So I think it really takes to understand what the appetite for AI is, and a lot of big tech companies are kind of trying to figure that out, where every new tech product has some sort of AI tool built in, whether it's necessary or not. It's just one way to make consumer electronics kind of new and innovative, and they'll throw that around as a buzzword with AI. So when it comes to something like AI or social media, whether that's short form with TikTok or Instagram, it's just gathering customer feedback of, hey, how did you hear about us? Hey, what are you watching online? So with it, different marketing strategies, we can kind of identify where you're seeing some numbers or statistics or insights on those platforms like an Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, to see really who's watching or consuming your content.
And it seems like there's a lot of balancing between like the more creative side of like problem solving and all that, but then also like the more analytical side of like managing all this data and figuring out the trends from it.
Yeah, the creative side is a challenge that every business is going to encounter, and a lot of business owners are good at what they do. Whether it's shoe repair, you might be excellent at shoe repair, but the other side of the business of getting attention or creating a reason why shoe repair is still important in 2026 is kind of the opposite side of things. So it's trying to find ways to stick out, create some brand awareness, some exposure for the company when it comes to letting people know who you are, the products or services that you provide. And I guess to your point, you're kind of seeing a lot of those trends start on platforms like TikTok, where there's companies that are so far away from me, a restaurant, a small business that's 3,000 kilometers away that I follow online because their content's really great, or they're really good at doing marketing in a way that doesn't feel like just sales or advertising towards me. It doesn't feel like a hard sell, but it's just more building that relationship where it's like, oh yeah, I'll go to Jeff's Bagels because Jeff seems like a great guy and the bagels look amazing one day if I go to Montreal. I think we covered a lot of different things today.
Yeah.
I think my advice to a lot of business owners is really continue to investigate who your customers are, understand what they want from your business, whether that's a product or service, what their value proposition is, so why people continue to choose you, whether that's price, product quality, could be a bunch of different things, but that's always important to know is who your customer is and how you can serve them best. Consider the customer experience of what you can do to make their lives better, make your product and or service better for everybody.
Turns out these hot trends don't come from nowhere, and we found out why they get everywhere so easily. Things like social media and familiar flavors help us get used to new foods. With that said, maybe you'll make the next Dubai Chewy cookie or viral matcha drink. I'm Dermo.
And I'm Emily Kim for Almost 107. Find more episodes online wherever you get your podcasts.